Welcome to another installment of Flyer, Gonna Flyer. Oh, I forgot my normal banter. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Flyer, Gonna Flyer. I am your co-host, Alex Fournette, being joined with me with my gracious co-host, the veteran king himself from the Flyers nitty gritty, coming at you live, Mr. Jamey Baskow. Jamey, how you doing tonight, brother?
Yeah, pretty good. Aloha mahalo, everybody. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Busy day, but busy night. Lack of sleep, but doing well.
I
Got a
think it
lot of
was a
energy.
good reason, though, for lack of sleep. We had a pretty good game. We're
Yeah,
recording this on a Saturday, so it'll be released obviously on Sunday. But last night, 2 nights there, when this comes out, we
yeah.
had a pretty good game to talk about here between the Flyers and Canucks. And for all good reason for lack of sleep, I was in the same boat. But we, like I said, everyone, we got a good episode. We're gonna be talking about the game that happened last night, week ahead, and a couple predictions that we'll be laying out to you as well. But let's get right into this. Jamey, let's talk about that Flyers Canucks game last night. Flyers came out with a 3-2 win in a shootout last night.
Yeah.
Goals from Tyson Forster and Cam York, and the shootout winner from Morgan Frost. Jamey, give me a breakdown on this game.
Samuel Orson. I think it ends and stops with him. He was just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. He was dialed in from puck drop, first save. You just knew with the way he was cutting off angles and the way he was moving post to post, he was just dialed in. He looked ready to go, looked energized, looked confident, much like he was in the preseason. He was stellar in the preseason, stellar in the opening. I mean, I can't even tell you how big he was. The Flyers could have very well lost 8-3. 8-2. Actually, they wouldn't have went into overtime at all. Maybe 9-2. That's how many good bang saves he made in the first period alone. That glove hand save, you knew he was dialed in from there with that glove. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Even with Vancouver, even with the Flyers taking 2 penalties, I know they had a ton of shots on net. It was like, I think it was 12-7 at the end of first or 12-8 in shots, favored in Vancouver. Somehow the Flyers ended with 8 shots. But I'm going to be honest, it didn't seem it. I don't think – I thought they were very sloppy in their first period. There were a lot of turnovers, turnovers that I expected turnovers from Michkov, Luchenko, because it's going to happen. And I'm fine with that, with the young guns. But I mean, we were seeing seasoned vets turning puck overs, and I'm like, oh man, what is going on here? Risto had that awesome pass to Ryan Poehling, and he failed to hold on to the puck there, and it led to a goal. Just like that, it was just. But Poehling to me, I know that fourth line came through in the clutch, and he had that nice play. Was in the third period there. I think it was where the fourth line finally got one to even the score with Cam York. I think that wasn't that one. Or was it the
assist on it?
Because Forrester scored the first. So I you know what? Poehling just looks hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has a groin injury. He wasn't available for morning skate, so maybe he just looks slow. He didn't have that oomph like he did last year. He didn't have that, stride that he did. He was a much faster skater, I thought, last year. And looking last night, to me, he was one of the worst skaters on the ice. I hate to say that. And but there were some positives though. Sam Ersson, not only Sam, I thought Jet Luchenko. I know he had a bad play, a gaff. It's going to happen. I don't care. But the speed that he brings on the power play, there's no doubt that second power play unit to me was the best unit of all, for the power play. And I'm sure you saw that. Every Flyer fan saw that. It's because of his speed. And we talked about that on prior podcasts, they were missing a Jake Voracek that could just bring the puck in the zone with ease. Michkov did that. Jet Luchenko did that. Both of them did it with the man advantage. And there's no shot because they're very speedy, and that's what the Flyers needed was speed. And I think that's why Torts kept them along. But I thought he looked good. I thought Michkov, of course, looked good, and he made tape-to-tape passes. Made it real. I mean, made this crazy move in the third. I don't know where he tried scoring between his legs, and it went high. He actually elevated the puck somehow. Mitchkov did. Almost, it was late in the game. I think with like 2 minutes left or something of that nature, 3 minutes left. But that's what he brings, is that element. But I also thought, the defense played very well. I thought Cam York was phenomenal. I thought Jamie Drysdale looked really good. I thought Rasmus Ristolainen had a good game. I thought Igor Zamula, had played a good game. I know he had, that one turnover. But like I said, there's going to be turnovers. That doesn't mean I didn't play bad. But the Tyson Forrester looked good. Joel Farabee looked good. Looked like he could have probably potted maybe 2 goals last night. But overall, I think it was a sloppy win, but we'll take it. Sam Merson, thank you very much.
Dub's a dub. You'll take it how you can get them. I'm going to go down. I'm going to dive into this one as well. So I'll go kind of period by period. First period, I absolutely agree with you, Jamie. They looked flat. They looked flat out of the gates. Those first 2 minutes, they had a little bit of control, but then as the penalties started being taken, both of those first 2 power plays, they looked like they were on their heels. Samuel Ersson was absolutely their best PK guy. It felt like there was guns a-blazing on that first power play. Vancouver had 3 or 4 high-quality shots. As you mentioned, Samuel Ersson had that ridiculous glove save. I think that was on the first PK, if I remember correctly. But I will give them one thing. The penalty kill as a whole played great.
Yeah.
Well, going 5 for 5 is something not to scoff at. The first 2 were more Ersson, but I felt like the next 2 after that, they looked like that elite, strong penalty kill that we were accustomed to seeing for about 80% of the year last year. The power kill quote, as some fans like to use, kind of showed itself a few times. On that first penalty kill, Travis Konechny had a mini breakaway there. He tried beating him 5-hole. Was a good save by the Vancouver goalie. And then there was another bit, I believe it was maybe the third or fourth kill, where they had a 3-on-2 where Sanheim had a pretty close range shot that was stopped as well. So they were still creating opportunities on their PK, which is something we saw a lot of last year, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. But as a whole, that first period was not that good for me. Obviously, Vancouver scored on the Ryan Poehling gaff. That Risto pass, could it have been a little bit better? Yeah, I guess. But I still think that pass was more than serviceable for Poehling to get. Tops off the sticks, leads to a turnover. Goal the other way, 1-0 Vancouver. Nothing Ersson could do on the shot. It was just a perfectly placed shot. No blame to him on that.
Yeah.
Then obviously the power play got their opportunity, and the second unit looked pretty good, as you mentioned, especially the goal there. It was pretty much a passing clinic that led to a Tyson Forrester tap in off of a mini one-timer / redirect in front of the net. Good play there to tie the game. And they found their game a little bit towards the end of the period, even before that power play, and then a little bit after as well. Second period moves on. Vancouver came out and looked like a team on a mission. That first 5 minutes of that second period, they were just guns a-blazing. Philly couldn't get the puck out of their own end. But then you look ahead, and then Vancouver eventually does score. As you mentioned, something interesting, the Luchenko kind of got beat. I watched that play. I kind of looked at it a little bit differently. Yeah, Luchenko did get beat, but I put more of the blame on that play on Zamula. I feel like he kind of freelanced a little bit on the right side when there were 2 defenders already over there, creating that gap opening on the right side of the net, and then all that needed to be happen was Luchenko loses his guy, which ended up happening there. But yeah, 2-1 after 2. Flyers come out a little bit more desperate in the third period. The fourth line, as you mentioned, created some pressure. Cam York on that kind of weird play, scores a goal. Play continues for another 20 seconds before they realize, the puck did actually go in the net. And then things kind of went back and forth in the third period. A few more penalties were taken. As mentioned prior, the Flyers went 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. And I think they went, 1 for 4 on the power play as a whole. But I got to turn that off, sorry. But 1 for 4 on the PK as a whole. But, yeah, they looked good from a penalty kill perspective. Power play, there was still things that could be worked on. But as a whole, they looked better. They looked like they could enter the zone more. They could attack better. They as you mentioned, the Luchenko factor was big there too. And then obviously overtime was a little bit back and forth. And then the shootout, they ended up inevitably winning 2-1. Guys who stood out for me in a negative way, I'll start with first. As you mentioned, Ryan Paling, I'm going to agree with there. He looked slow. He had that bad turnover in the first. And then even that delay game, that too many men penalty, he was pretty slow getting to the bench when Morgan Frost touched the ball.
It was,
I kind of blame that more on Paling than Frost, because Frost is at that point.
Right.
Whole guys, teams off the ice. I got to play the puck
here.
So
I get it.
Paling's got to be quicker on that. And then one guy I'm actually going to disagree with you. I was not too excited about Zamula's game last night because he did have that gap that I mentioned. And then in the third period, when under a minute to go, he had a really bad turnover that thankfully didn't lead to anything. But it was right in front of the blue line where I felt like he burnt the puck up. I don't know who it was for Vancouver. It may have been Pedersen. They ended up getting a half-decent bit off out of that. But I think Urson did get a piece of it. But those are the two guys that really stood out to me in a negative way. You could point out Farabee missing a few opportunities as well. I won't really call that a negative, but he had probably at least 2 empty net bids, especially on that power play right in front of that where he got the puck and he just missed the empty net. I won't call it a bad game for him, but it was a game where he could have potentially put up 2 goals.
Yeah.
He had another one where he whiffed, I think, on that same power play when the puck went across the net, couldn't quite get a piece of it. And then in the third period, there was a pass that went to him. I felt like it was redirected, so I'll give him a little bit of slack on that one. But he had some chances that he couldn't bury. But again, I won't call that a bad game. It was more of a missed opportunity game for him.
Yeah.
Guys that stood out for me. Morgan Frost in a positive way. I think he was creating some plays. There was that pass from Mitchkov, who I'll get to shortly, that led to him. He got a pretty good bit on net. I felt like he was driving play quite a bit, and especially in the third period when they mixed up the lines a little bit, moving Coots to the third line and moving flip-flopping Frost and Luchenko with Mitchkov and Konechny. So that I give him a thumbs up for the game. Cam York, too. Not enough can be said about how he's become an Iron Man for this team eating minutes. One thing I always mention about defensemen, if you're not mentioning their names, that's usually a good thing.
Yeah.
They're not making mistakes. I kind of look at it as a cornerback in the NFL. If you're not mentioning a corner, they're usually doing pretty well. That means they're doing their job. There's no negatives. And that was the thing with Cam York. I didn't really talk about him too much outside the goal last night because he was doing his job. He was in position. He wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. He was getting the puck out of the zone. He was starting out breakout plays. He looked good. I loved Cam York's game.
Yeah.
And then obviously Sam Mercer. And not enough can be said about him. He was lights out. As you mentioned, the first period, he's talked about 4 or 5 high danger chances. He had a few big stops, especially in that third period, too.
Oh, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, Sam Merson definitely deserved first star. But wasn't for him, Flyers definitely lose this game. No question about it. And then obviously I got to give it to the rookies, too, Mitchkov and Luchenko. Mitchkov, I agree something you stated on Twitter. He kind of had the yips a little bit in the first period. And then as the game went on, he kind of found himself. His third period was absolutely his best.
Oh, yeah.
In the second, he made that ridiculous pass to Frost on the power play. Just quickly. It's incredible how quick he gets the puck off his stick.
It is.
Found Frost wide open in front of the net. Doesn't bury it, but still a great bid. Then he had that beautiful move to open up some room between that play between him and Luchenko with the mini toe drag.
It was great.
Chance to pot it, and then a ridiculous save made. So. And then, obviously, he tried that between the legs right in front of the net. That would have been ridiculous if he buried that. But, yeah, those are my positives for this game. Overall, I give the Flyers – I had to put it on a 1 to 10 scale, how they played. I'll give them a 6. It wasn't a perfect game, but it was enough to get the dub. Urson was phenomenal. There was a few guys out there who stood out. Honorable mention of Rasmus Ristolainen, too. I feel like it's awesome to see him back and start to play his game. He made a few really good plays, too, clearing the puck. So give him his props. But, yeah, good win for the Flyers. They improved to 1-0. Let's move up to the week ahead. Flyers got a couple games this week. It's mainly a Western Conference road trip. Which end at home in their home opener. So, as I said, we're recording this on a Saturday night, starting off with Calgary tonight. which we'll know the end result of once this is released.
Yeah.
Then I think they're at Edmonton Tuesday, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
At Seattle Thursday, and then the home opener with their second game against Vancouver. It's crazy they finish up with Vancouver in the first 5 games of the year. But Jamey, let's talk about the week ahead. Give me talk about each of these games, maybe a few predictions here.
Well, I'm not a Debbie Downer by no means. As I discussed, in last week's season preview, I really think that the Flyers will make the first or second wild card. I think they'll sneak in with the 7th or 8th, but the schedule just doesn't do them any justice early in the season, and and it is very, very tough. Like, they beat a very good. And I'm a little harsher on the Flyers in their home, their season opener. I give them a 5, in terms of, but I just thought they were way too slack. And I know Vancouver's a really good team. I take nothing away. They're a very good team. They're going to be, they will make the playoffs this year. Fortunately, I want to say this. Fortunately, Tyler Myers isn't seriously hurt. He's apparently day to day. I saw that.
That's good.
Thankfully, he's a very, very good player. Vancouver, thankfully, he's not seriously hurt. So I just wanted to mention that. But this is a tough game tonight against Calgary. Calgary's not supposed to be that team, but playing them early, it looks like that they have some sort of revenge on their mind. They won a very good game the other night. I just think the Flyers lose tonight to Calgary. I think they'll lose to Edmonton. I think they'll finish off the road trip and beat Seattle. I think they'll finish the road trip 2-2, lead into Vancouver. I think they'll beat Vancouver again, and I think that the Flyers will win. Their first, back, 2 games in a row. There, it'll be Seattle and Vancouver. This schedule just does them no justice. Edmonton's a very good team, but I just don't got that feeling tonight like I did last night against Vancouver. I just think that this is a bad game for the Flyers to play. Calgary Flames. I'm very upset at the schedule makers. I don't understand. It's an 82-game season. You have your season opener. The juices are flowing. I don't understand why they have a back-to-back. It just doesn't make any sense. Players are up here. You know what I mean? So if people could see me up here, and then you got a back-to-back. I just think that they should be playing tomorrow, which is Sunday, as opposed to having 2 days off, due to travel to Edmonton. Everything's in the same vicinity there. They're in Alberta. I'm not saying that Calgary is right next door to Edmonton, but they have 2 days off before they play the Edmonton Oilers. I don't understand it. I don't got a good feeling about tonight.
I actually have to agree with you. And, I put it in the perspective that I agree, yes, I can't stand the way they make the schedule. I hate the fact that they're even starting with the Western Canada road trip right off the bat. Like, I figured they'd actually play a few games in the Eastern time zone before they send them out there. They usually seem like they get that in the first half of the season almost every year anyway. Last year, I believe they had it as, their New Year's trip. This year. And then 2 years ago, it was in October, I remember as well.
Right.
Or 3 years ago, whatever it was. And then this year, they start the season with that. They couldn't have given them like a week or 2 of games in the Eastern Conference time zone before they friggin' drop this crap hole on us. No, we got to start right in Vancouver and then Calgary. I can't tell you. You saw in our group chat how BS I was when the schedule came out that they started.
Absolutely.
I can't and I want to do a mini quick rant before I go into this. NHL, we do not need 32 games against the opposing conference. For the love of God.
Yeah, I hear you.
If you want to emphasize games within the damn division, give us more division games. Perfect breakout for this for an 82-game schedule. 7 games, 6 games against the 7 teams in the division, 42 games. 8 games against the other 3 teams in your conference. 24 games. That makes 66. 16 teams left, 16 games left. 1 division in the Western Conference all home, 1 division in the Western Conference all away. 82. It adds up perfectly.
Well said.
I like they emphasize how much you want to play to win through your division, but you have 32 games against the opposing conference out of 82. I just see as redundant. But anyway, before to not get too far off track, they have Calgary tonight. This is Calgary's home opener. And, rest in peace, Johnny Gaudreau. They're going to be doing a lot of incredible things for this individual. I expect Calgary to be firing out the gate. And Philly, obviously, coming off of a back-to-back, this game could get ugly. This game could get very ugly. And I think it's going to be a mixture of the fatigue factor and the emotion factor. Calgary, obviously, playing with a heavy heart for Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau tonight. They're going to be doing a lot for this guy and their family tonight. All the best to the Gaudreau family. I wish them the best. And so this is going to be tough. I could see this game getting ugly, to be perfectly honest. I think just for the sheer fact that Calgary's going to be playing with that extra gear tonight for emotional perspective. Edmonton, I think we're going to have the same thing here. I don't see them beating Edmonton. Edmonton is the defending Western Conference champs. A lot of people picked them to win the Cup this year. They have so much firepower in the offensive end. I think they got even better offensively than they were last year. Yeah, Jeff Skinner on a cheap contract who seemed like has found the fountain of youth on top of what you already had in the top six. And then Seattle, I can see them beating Seattle. I think Seattle's a team that, they match up pretty well against. They'll have another day of rest before going over there. They'll want to end this road trip with a win. They might be a little more desperate at that point. Then they get one day off after all that time out west, come back home. Another thing I hate about the schedule making, if you're going west to east, you should have the minimum of 2 days off, in my opinion, to get more accustomed to the time zone difference. But rant for another day. And they play home against Vancouver. I think they'll have a little bit of fire under their ass for that game. I think they win that game as well. I think we see eye to eye on this. I see it 2-2 out of the road trip, which, in my opinion, is success. They always seem like they struggle in Western Canada or that type of road trip in general. And then with a sweep in Vancouver, which is what they did last year too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is going to be a tough week, but I definitely think that they're going to get through this week with a winning record, or they'll have a winning record when we meet again next week, I should say. But yeah, let's move on to things that we're looking forward for next week. We got, so as mentioned, 4 games.
Yeah.
What are you looking for players to stand out to you, Jamey, or what to watch for just in general?
I'm looking for Morgan Frost, consistency. Like you said, he had a good game, yesterday. He obviously had, the game-winning goal in the shootout there, but he had some other, plays that I thought were pretty creative, and it looked like he had some extra juice last night. And I agreed with Torts with moving him in between, Mitchkop there, in the third period. I actually liked Torts for shaking up the lines there. I actually agreed with that very well, and kudos to Torts for that. He put the guys in who were succeeding, but I'm looking for consistency from him. I look for Sam Ersson to have, but I think we're going to have a really good eye on our backup goaltending situation here. I think, obviously I haven't checked, but I think Ivan Fedotov should be going tonight. I'm hoping anyway. So at least I see him getting at least 2 starts this week somewhere. I see Sam Ersson, Tuesday in Edmonton, and then then Ivan Fedotov finishing up the road trip there in Seattle. I think they'll go back and back there. I don't think they want to wear Sam Ersson down too much early in the season here. And then Sam Ersson will obviously start the home opener against Vancouver. So I'm looking for, I really want a clarity on the backup goaltending situation, because the Flyers, I just want to make this known, and this where I'm getting at is this. Alexei Kolosov the Flyers have a big decision with Alexei Kolosov. By the end of October, he can decide, the organization will have to decide if they want to loan him back to the KHL or not. So that's at the end of October here. So I think you're going to see a heavy load here of Ivan Fedotov, early to see if possibly he has it, or do they recall Kolosov, and say, hey, this is what we're talking about. If he struggles, you will be in. The Flyers can do that. So it'll be interesting. And I think that this is a good week upcoming to see Ivan Fedotov hopefully play tonight against Calgary, and then we'll possibly play one other game on this road trip to get clarity.
I agree.
That's what I'm looking for.
That's a very good point there with Fedotov. I think it's going to be big just to see what you have in the guy. My guy, I'm watching Jet Luchenko a lot this week because obviously he's on this 9-game tryout, and they got to know what they have in this kid before they make their decision. So I think they're going to use the entirety of the 9 games to make this decision. And I think a lot of this is going to be, in fact, due to Sean Couturier. I probably should have mentioned this on my downs. I don't think he had that good of a game last night, too. Another game I wanted to mention. I want to say this about Coots. I think that he still has the mind of a 200-foot elite player. He's still smart. He knows where to be. But I think those surgeries are starting to run its course on his body.
It could. Yeah.
And I'm a little worried. He did not have the best preseason to me. And, I watched him last night. There was a reason they juggled the lines and moved into the third line. He didn't really felt like he was going with the pace of Konechny and Michkov. I worry about that. And I think they're going to use all 9 of these games with Luchenko to see, hey, listen, if this kid really can perform and we feel like he can develop in the NHL, why not run him for the year? And it's not the fact that they want to rush the kid, but it's more of a fear of what they may be seeing the inevitable potentially in Sean Couturier. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he can find his game. Maybe he's just going through a rough patch, kind of getting back into a groove again. But when you've gone through that much wear and tear and 3 surgeries in the last 3 years, the inevitable might be happening. And with him still having, 6 years left on his contract?
Yeah.
A little concerning. But I'm watching Luchenko. I want to see if he can keep making positive strides. I thought he looked pretty good last night. His speed is freaking jaw-dropping. I think I saw a statistic by Salutable Elias on Twitter today that he was shown in the 95th percentile, top 95th percentile of players when it comes to pure speed. So that's, at the age of 18, that's fantastic to have. And as you mentioned, they haven't had a guy who can enter the zone consistently like that since Jake Voracek. But other guys I'm watching, I think you hit the hammer on the nail with Ivan Fedotov. They need to see what they have in this kid because it's a short lease. He didn't play overly good in those 3 games last year, but I give him a lot more leeway. The sheer fact that, we took a month off between the KHL to the NHL. He's coming over to a brand new league. The month off could have potentially weaned his flow, and he's in the midst of a friggin' tight playoff race. You're throwing this guy to the woodworks, expecting him to be your savior of a backup goalie. Give person some rest. It was just an unrealistic scenario.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So I didn't take much, if any, stock in that 3-game sample size last year.
Right.
You're going to see what you have in him. He's 27, 28 years old right now?
27.
So, yeah, he's 20. That's what I thought he was. He's 27. You're going to see what you have in this guy early and often. I would like the Flyers to do similar to what they did last year with their goaltending until January, where they went kind of with a 60-40 split. I hope to see that with Fedotov at least until the end of the month to see what you got. I think they have, 10 games this month? Maybe have Urson start 6 of them and Fedotov start 4 of them. And
sounds good.
Just give him that opportunity to break in. And, if he does struggle, would I pull the plug instantly in October? Probably not. But, you might be talking Kolosov, as you mentioned, and say, hey, listen, he's still not catching on. Be ready. You might be pulled up sooner rather than later.
Yes. He's starting for Lehigh tonight, too.
Yeah. And, that's going to be something. I got to watch this tape after this game tonight. Just see what Kolosov looks like at that Lehigh Valley game. And then obviously, I feel like Michkov would be a cop-out answer because we're all looking to see.
Oh, right. That's why I left him out. I'm with you.
So I'm gonna skip him. I'll just say I think he gets 4 points this week, though. We'll give a little prediction.
Oh, wow.
2 goals, 2 assists this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think he gets his first point tonight. It'll be
I do too. I agree.
But anyway, another guy I want to watch is Owen Tippett. So he just got his contract, and I personally have high expectations for this guy this year.
I do too.
I think that he breaks that 30-goal mark, but I need to see him emerge as a leader in terms of that. He needs to.
He had the game winner last night. Oh man.
Yeah. I will say this: one of the big knocks people have given Owen Tippett is he seems like he misses the net quite often. He shoots heavy and often, and I love that about him. He's got a shooter's mentality, but he misses quite a bit. And I hope that he can work on that to find more position when his wrister and his snapshot, his one-timers, to get more shots on accurately. Because he's a burner. He's an absolute burner. He had the fastest speed in the league last year, right, for one game. So I want to see him take that next step. He just got his 8-year extension. He got rightfully paid. He deserved it. You got him locked up until he's, I think, 32, 33 years old. So I want to see him take that next step and evolve into a 30-plus goal scorer. I want him to start early and often this year. I want him to put up a couple goals this week. I want to see when we meet next Saturday, I want to say Owen Tippett has at least 3 goals. I need to see that from him. I need him to have a good start. Konechny usually is the guy that has that blister start this year. I want that to be Owen Tippett this year. I want to see sniff at least close to 35 goals. And just take that next step. I feel like
that would be nice.
Power play alone, taking that step forward, hopefully with Mitchkov on it, should help. But I need to see a step from him for sure. Anything else you want to add? Just in general?
No, I think we covered the basis, for this week and the week ahead. There's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of oohs, a lot of ohs. So I think it's going to be a fun week ahead, and kudos to the Flyer fans for being patient. I just want to say that again. Without the Flyer fans, for one, the show wouldn't exist, but two, they deserve kudos for being patient, over the course of the past few years. And it was a fun night last night, and that's why I would have liked to have had off tonight, riding, high. So, but no, I think you touched on everything. I think you did a good job. Your angles were good. And I agree with you about Owen Tippett. He had one last night. Could have had the game winner. Went high and wide, high and upstairs. Great shot. Perfect.
Oh, he just barely missed that.
Just missed. And I thought he had it, believe it or not. So I was like, oh, cool. They just want, So, but yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, you did a good job.
But yeah, so it's not going to be a long episode this week, folks. We got we'll probably be a little more in depth next week. We should have more of our usual group as well. We'll have more games to talk about, a little more in-depth, thoroughly to go through. But that's going to do it for tonight. Jamey, as usual, thank you for coming along.
Yeah, man, it was awesome.
It's a pleasure to have you, man. Aloha, mahalo. I am a tongue twister. I never say that on purpose because I feel like I'm going to butcher it like I just did. But we're in for an exciting week. We're going to have at least 3 games to talk about since the Vancouver home opener. We're probably going to record this episode.
Might be a 2-hour show next week.
Oh, yeah. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We had another good episode, and we'll see you next week. But tune in. Hopefully we have a good week of Flyer hockey to talk about next week. 1-0 start. Hopefully at least another 2 wins we can talk about. We'll see. But anyway, see you next week, everyone, and let's go Flyers.